In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make this lovely shiny fish image. We're going to start by making the background, and we've got two options for how to do this. So you can do it with paint or you can do it with collage. I'm going to start with showing you how to do it with paint. And I've got here a piece of what's called multimedia paper, just a little bit thicker than normal paper. If you use normal paper for paint, you'll see that it buckles. So if you are going to use paint, try and use a thicker piece of paper. I would advise you though to use white, because if you use a brown card, then that's going to make the colours a little bit dull. So I've got a whole jar here of sponges, but basically they're just any old washing up sponge or anything like that. And you can see that I've got my painting shirt on. Miriam's also got her painting shirt on, see? And we've got newspaper down on the table so we don't make too much mess. So I've got a few different types of blue. If you've just got one blue, then you can just sponge that on. That'll be fine. Got a different blue. I'm not really sure how these are going to turn out, but hopefully we're okay. And a purple as well. Okay. Want to do some sponging? Do you want to do some sponging? Do you want to do some sponging? Okay. Want to do some? So that's our background painted. So we need to leave this to dry, and in the meantime I'm going to show you how to make an alternative background if you don't have any paint. Is to take a piece of card. Now this card you can easily find at home. It's just a cereal box cut up. And for this alternative we're going to do some collage background. So earlier on, me and Miriam went through an old magazine and we picked out any pages that had any blue on them. And we're going to cut strips of blue and then we're going to stick them down. If you've got any pictures which have actual sea in them, then that's great. You put them in. And when you stick them down, try and find the darker ones to put at the bottom and any lighter bits of blue at the top. There's the nice stuck on pieces of blue, the dark at the bottom, getting lighter. And then for these flaps, you can just cut them off. One, and this is the other one now dry. Now you see it's curled a bit, so I'm going to put something on that corner, on the four corners, to try and flatten it out. That looks quite nice as well. Another alternative for the background is this is quite time consuming, and if you don't have any paint, you could just use a piece of blue card. So the fish is going to be on a piece of card because it's going to need the weight in order to take the collage. So here we have again. And whether you've done it on the collage background or the painted background, then you are still going to need to do it on a piece of cardboard. This is how I drew the fish, but obviously you can do the fish however you want. Make sure you've got a tail, and some fins also look nice as well. Now we're going to start making the scales of the fish, and we're going to use for this, because it's going to be a shiny fish, we're going to use some foil, and we're going to use some more blue. We're also going to use text from the newspaper. And the shape of the scale is almost like a semicircle. When you cut it, make sure that it's not touching the fold, because then it will be stuck together. Then we do the same with the writing. I want to try and make sure that all the writing is going in the same direction. You don't want scales with writing, because otherwise it doesn't look organised. So before I start sticking down the scales, I'm going to put the less shiny side of the foil over the part of the fish that is not going to be covered with scales, and the tail. To get the shape right, you can take a piece of tracing paper or baking paper and just trace over the shape that you want to cover. And then if you just go over it on top of the foil, the pencil will make an indent which will be enough for you to then cut out the shape. You should then do this, there you can see it, the shape. Then you can do that for the tail and the fins as well. Another option is to cut out the fish from the cardboard, put that on the piece of foil and then draw around it. Then you can just cut out the whole piece of foil and stick it on top of the whole fish. Here's the fish with the pieces of foil stuck on, and now it's time to stick on the scales. You can see all the blue and the silver ones ready there to go, and you start by putting down the glue and you lay them on one at a time. Make sure that you overlap each layer with the previous one. When you get to the front of the fish, where the scales stop, you can stick the glue on the actual scales themselves so you don't get any glue messing up your nice shiny foil. So the fish is finished, the scales, and I cut it out. It is quite tricky to get around those corners, so just be careful when you do. Again, I'll be able to help you. Okay, so now we need a few more finishing touches for our fish. I made a little mouth just by cutting a little tapered piece of blue from the colours I used before, stuck it on over there. I cut out a little piece of white and drew on a pupil with a black marker. And then just some very long, thin triangles to put on the tail to give that a bit of life as well. Next, I made a little fish-shaped stencil to add some fish around the outside of the main big one, and I sponged them on. When you do this, be careful not to sponge over the outside edge of the stencil. You just want the sponging to be inside the shape of the fish, so make yours a little bit bigger than I did. And lastly, I cut out some little silver fish from the silver foil and stuck them around the edge as well, and this helps to balance out the silver in the main fish. And this is what it might look like on the collage background. So here's the finished fish picture, all nice and dry, nice and shiny, nice and nice and nice. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Please send me pictures of what you did. You can use the contact page on my website. I would love to see what you do, and if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel for videos on art activities and all things related to art that will help develop your skills and creativity. How marvellous. See you next time. Thank you so much. We are making an organised fish. Neat and tidy fish.
Remember in the flowers you said, so exciting.
I did. So exciting, like that. For all the South Africans out there.
Like Grandma speaks.
Like Grandma, yeah, that's right. Really, I should be making supper right now. Okay, can everyone be quiet, please?
Mummy, can I have the chocolate one?
What am I talking about? Oh,